So I'm about 2 hours post-meal and my blood sugar is 117 stable. Not going to complain about that. Been riding pretty good these past few days, but I'm kind of ready for diabetes to throw some hell at me pretty soon, so kind of waiting for something really bad to happen. I mean, that's just kind of how I think. It's like, not saying I'm not thankful for my normal blood sugars, but some days I'm wondering what kind of surprises diabetes have in store for me. Anyways, let's jump into today's video. Hi everyone, it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel. And today, as you can probably tell by the title of the video, I'm going to personally talk about what I do to deal with high blood sugar and kind of how I define it and kind of what are the steps I take when I have a high blood sugar. So, first of all, I did do a hyperglycemia video for the Diabetes Awareness Month series. You can go check that out if you want. I just basically talked about what it is and what kind of symptoms you go through. I won't talk about that here, but I'll talk about more personally what I do. But I define like high blood sugar if I'm consistently above 150 for a long period of time, 150 milligrams per deciliter. Again, I will put everything in the millimoles conversion. But even if I'm at 150, I'm not going to really start treating yet. I'm super insulin sensitive, so I don't need to take a whole unit of insulin for a correction until I get to 200, because 1 unit of Humalog will drop me 100 milligrams per deciliter, so I don't really have to do a lot of corrections, but when I do them when I hit 200 so that I don't go higher than that. But first of all, when I have a high blood sugar, I always want to troubleshoot the cause. So for me, the first major cause of high blood sugar is probably dehydration. So no matter what caused my high blood sugar, I will be drinking a ton of fluids. Waters, diet drinks, anything without excess carbohydrates that just replenishes the fluid in your body is perfect. So that's the first thing I think of. And the second thing that usually happens for me is I usually didn't take enough insulin for a meal. So I've noticed this more when I eat out or have heavier foods or foods that are like Mexican foods. Specifically like tortillas and stuff tend to spike me as like the worst food I can eat. But I've learned now to take a lot more, not a lot more, but quite a bit more insulin at those meals so that I don't have to worry about spiking so bad. So that would be the second reason for me dealing with the high blood sugar. And the third reason for me is not enough activity, but typically I'm a very active person. So what do I do if my blood sugar is high? Well, first of all, you don't panic about it because it's diabetes, it's bound to happen, things are going to happen. You may have, like I said, taken too little insulin or dehydrated, didn't exercise enough, or you're stressed, or whatever the case may be. But the top three for me, obviously, like I said, were dehydration, lack of insulin, or lack of activity. So the first thing you do is you don't want to panic about it. You just want to just take a deep breath and go troubleshoot the problem. So like for me, I would think, okay, maybe I'm dehydrated, so I start drinking, or whatever the case may be. But usually what I'll do is actually I have a Dexcom, so this thing will alarm me when I get above a certain level. I actually changed it to 180 just because I wanted to know if I'm a little higher sooner, so that I can get in preparation to maybe give myself an injection to correct the high blood sugar. So the first thing you're going to want to do is check your blood sugar. So like for me, I have a Dexcom, but I'm still learning how to treat it with highs like I had mentioned in my first impressions video. But I still use my meter to make my dosing decisions for my high. So I would check my blood sugar, whatever it is, do my correction, and then that's what I would know how much insulin to give. So then I give myself the insulin. And while you're giving yourself the insulin, make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids, and if you can, if all possible, do some physical activity that would help bring it down quick. Like for me, if I'm in a situation where I can't give myself a shot, say I'm shopping or whatever the case may be, I just know that the activity from shopping or pushing around a heavy cart, apparently Walmart makes my blood sugar drop all the time. I talked about that in my driving video, plus I may have talked about it previous, but I'm not sure. But anytime I go shopping at Walmart, my blood sugar just drops because I'm constantly carrying and pushing around heavy things. So if you can't give yourself an injection right away, try to do some sort of cardiovascular activity. That will usually help kick in your basal to become a little more sensitive, or you'll whatever little insulin is in your body from the previous injection or whatever the case may be, or the previous bolus on your pump, it might help bring that blood sugar down to a healthier level. So that's something I definitely recommend when you deal with a high blood sugar. The next thing you want to do is probably check for ketones, depending on how high you are. I had explained in my ketone videos that I check if I'm consistently above 200. Some people have to check later. Some people may have to check even earlier than that. But I check at 200 just to be on the safe side and get prepared in case some ketones do come around. But that's just another thing I would tell you guys is to keep an eye out for those ketones. Again, drink plenty of fluid no matter if you think it's a dehydration high or not. Just because the fluids would help flush out any potential ketones that may come along dealing with the high blood sugar. And the final thing I probably could think of is just, like I said, relax. Take your shot or do a little activity or do something you want to do to get that blood sugar down. De-stress. You know, you got to focus on you. Your health is more important at certain points in your life. So if you needed to correct that high blood sugar, do it. Because obviously you want to bring those high blood sugars down fast. Like I said, when I don't let mine really get above 200 too often. Just because I start feeling poorly if I'm consistently above 180. And number two, those are the high blood sugars are what are going to mainly cause the diabetes complications like retinopathy, neuropathy, nephropathy. And then they can also cause like cardiovascular damage and blood vessel damage in your body too, leading to heart attacks, strokes, and whatnot. So, honestly, for you guys, keep an eye on those blood sugars because we don't want to end up with complications in the future. Like I said, I don't let mine get above 200 too often. Again, sometimes it's impossible to not let that happen. Sometimes your blood sugar just goes up for no reason and you can't figure out why. Let it go and just take care of it. That's all you really can do for yourself. Invest in one of these if you can because you can know if you're higher than you actually think you are at any point during the day because sometimes we don't start feeling those high blood sugar symptoms like the thirstiness or the tiredness immediately. As soon as the high blood sugar comes, it might take a handful of hours. And be sure when you correct that you keep your injections or your boluses 2 hours apart. I know on pumps, I believe they account for the insulin on board or the insulin that is active inside your body so that it wouldn't give you as much for like a safety precaution. But for me, that I'm on injections, I keep my injections 2 hours apart if I have to keep correcting high blood sugars. And again, you want to make sure too, if you think you're going to go down fast because you know you're going to do some activity or take more insulin later for another meal, take a little less of a correction because obviously the activity will help bring that down. And you don't want to go from 200 to 70 in an hour. You might want to go from 200 to 70 in a few hours is okay, but you don't want to crash. You want to go from 200 and slowly drop with a nice slope. You don't want to go up and crash down. I've had that a couple times where I've stacked insulin and crashed. Don't want that, but like here, obviously my blood sugar wasn't super high, but you can see that I was like in the 140s or the 150s, and you can see the insulin that I took for my meal slowly corrected that blood sugar and brought me down. We want that gentle drop. We don't want a drastic drop because, again, like I had mentioned, any of those up and down mountains and roller coasters are not good for your body either. They could cause just as much damage and wreak havoc on your whole body chemistry and your brain and all your mental function just as much as riding constant high blood sugars. So anyways, this is kind of some very basic tips for what I do when I deal with high blood sugar. I'm still a fairly new diabetic because I'm still learning all these different things, but I hope this video helped out for those of you who are newly diagnosed or for those of you that don't really think about what could have caused that high blood sugar, or maybe kind of help you along in what I would do. Not saying what I do is absolutely perfect or anything. Obviously, I'm not perfect. But the way I manage my diabetes works for me. Leave in the comments below if you do anything else different or you add any other step to dealing with your high blood sugars. Let me know. I'm curious to know. You might also come up with something that I might want to try with my high blood sugars. But anyways, I hope this video helped you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Once we hit 100 subscribers, I will be posting my whole entire diabetes diagnosis story. If you do decide to subscribe, you can turn on the little notification bell next to the subscribe button so you'll get a notification every time I upload something new. And until Saturday's video, take care, God bless, be kind, spread positivity, and be thankful. Bye, everybody.